Okay, the last one of the set here has no plus buy on the board. There's also no gain in either. Grave Robber doesn't really count because it's like a remodel or a butcher, it just changes one thing into another thing. The only gain actually is Outpost, and Outpost is very sketchy on this board with no trashing. The only trashing is actually Trader, but that is very slow and cumbersome. So, well, what does it look like? You play some kind of money strategy, maybe. I mean, there's lots of good action cards on the board. King's Court, Hireling, Crown. But I think you really just want a lot of Magpies and some money. And that's it. That is really all you could do here. You just hopefully win the Magpie split, or at least get half of them. And just put gold and silver into your deck. Anyways, we both open with the Magpie and the silver here. Pretty reasonable. I'm looking to maybe get a Hireling or something and maybe put that in play. My opponent gets the Hireling straight away. I pick up a Scavenger here instead of a Magpie. I thought it might be useful just because it has +2 coins on it and it can top deck cards sometimes. So I thought maybe I could get some use out of it. Little did I know. Anyways, 5 is going to be a crown for me and for my opponent. The crown is real good. Magpie picks up the crown and you could use it on treasures or action cards as the case may be. You could crown a Magpie or crown a Scavenger, crown a silver. Get lots of money from that. So here I can crown the copper or the Scavenger. I think it makes sense to crown the Scavenger. And it actually allows me to put aside 2 cards on top of my deck. If I want, actually. If I want. Up to 2 cards at the top of my deck. So I go for silver and copper. Hopefully I could, get up to 6 and get a Hireling with that hand. Now 7 here, I go for King's Court. I have 3 action cards in the deck. I still go for King's Court. Maybe I'll get lucky. I didn't really think it was the time for it, but I decided to go for it anyway, considering, well, you had $7. That might not be at all the correct thing to do there. Maybe Hireling is just better. Here I do have exactly 6, so I'll get the Hireling. Now I didn't mention Basilica yet. It's on the right side there. Rewards you for paying a little bit extra for things that you buy. So here, could have bought a copper with my 2 coppers in play and picked up 2 points off the Basilica. Not worth it at all. King's Court comes by itself. It is a sad King's Court, but not entirely unexpected. Now here, I think I messed this up a little bit. I king the crown and then I crown the Scavenger. What I should have done was just king the Scavenger and then crowned a copper. And then I would have picked up Basilica points here for buying either Province or King's Court, I believe. And I am going to go for the King's Court. I actually didn't realize it at the beginning of the game, but the Magpie is very key here. What you want to do is try to king Magpies and then they draw a lot of cards. That's excellent news. I actually didn't buy a single Magpie aside from the first one. My opponent picks up a second one here, but unfortunately for him, I am going to win the Magpie split in this game. Bitter spoilers, but the few Magpies he had, sorry for that noise, the few Magpies that he had were too good. Look at this here. It drew silver, it drew copper, it drew silver again. He didn't gain a single Magpie off of that. They were very well trained and honed in on the shiny things on the deck. So he doesn't get any Magpies on that turn. And picks up King's Court for 9 here. I probably was considering between that and the Province. So he gets a couple points off the Basilica for his troubles. I also have good Magpies here. These Magpies have been exceptional in this deck so far. But I don't pick up a King's Court. Instead I go for a Hireling, just trying to get the Basilica points, honestly. And Hireling is very useful here, especially for a deck that wants to pair King's Court and Magpie together. Yeah, Hireling is going to be very handy for that. So my opponent didn't actually do anything. They did gain a Magpie though, which is very good for them. But this was the killer here. I was able to king this Magpie, and I think I gained 3 of them straight off the bat. So that meant that I won the Magpie split for sure. Again, I didn't really realize the importance of it until much later into the game. I realized, you actually string together something half decent on this board. which you thought originally was, you know, just something with magpies and money. I actually managed to get my second hireling down before my opponent. Well, he will buy a hireling soon enough anyway. And 7 is going to be another King's Court. Another King's Court. Again, I didn't really feel good playing these King's Courts because I couldn't really set it up so that the King's Courts would find the magpies like this. This would be dead if not for the hirelings. Fortunately, I do see the Scavenger, and here is where I realize what this thing could do, what King's Court Scavenger could do. It lets me set aside 3 cards at the top of my deck. So if I had some foresight, I would have picked up perhaps a second Scavenger. And then once I could set up this chain, King's Court Scavenger, then I can king the Scavenger, of course, like I'm doing here. Buy a province, because I'll probably have enough money to buy a province after I king a Scavenger. And then I would set up my next 3 cards to have a King's Court and a Scavenger in it. Perhaps a Magpie, perhaps a Silver. The Silver would guarantee province. And then we could keep doing that until we churn through the provinces. So that, I did not realize that at all. Just happened to pick up a Scavenger because it's generally a useful card, but being able to king a Scavenger is a different story in itself. So now my opponent takes a province and points off the Basilica as well. Here I am able to see king, king, and a flock of magpies, so very happy about that. I actually draw through till the end of my deck here, which negates the usefulness of my Scavenger, but I didn't really have too much choice in that. So I just put enough money out there to be able to pick up the 2 Basilica points with this province. So into the end game, we have no extra gain. None of us have picked up an outpost here. Perhaps we should have. This was a very, very fuzzy board in my mind. I wasn't really sure what to do. I just sort of stumbled through magpies and picked up things that I thought were useful. Until it came to the end here, when I realized, you know, the Scavenger guy is quite useful. Actually, here, I'm not going to draw any more with these magpies. I'm going to stop and top deck King's Court and Magpie and King's Court on top of my deck. So that allows me to set up my next turn somewhat, which is very, very good. That is the only kind of reliability that you can put into your deck on this board here. My opponent does not have the luxury of the Scavenger, so he has to rely on being able to draw well throughout the remainder of this game. I also have to draw well, but at least I set up myself here with King, King, Magpie. So a little bit more likely that I'll get through and be able to buy a province. So now there are 2 provinces left. I can take the penultimate province quite easily because my opponent has no extra gain. And buying the last province means the game would end tied on points, but my opponent would lose on turns. So very comfortable in taking the penultimate province here, not being able to king a Scavenger, but being able to crown a Scavenger here. Okay, I'll take King Magpie on top of my deck. That's okay, that's decent. I guess I'll take it if I have to. So my opponent does the right thing here, picks up a duchy and hopes I stall, but I actually end up getting incredibly lucky and finding a crown of my last Magpie to buy the last province. So I do play Magpies first and not the King's Court, hoping that I would find King King and then go King King Magpie, but it doesn't turn out that way. Just have to king the 1 Magpie like here and come out with the win. So I actually take all 6 points in this game. My opponent after the game said perhaps he's rusty. It does put me in a good position to actually finish at the top of the group, which is exciting because it means that next season you will get to see a division action with a brand new Dominion expansion, Dominion Nocturne. If you didn't know a new expansion was coming out, now you know. So we're going to see a bunch of new cards with some of the best players of this game next season. If I do well in the next game, of course, right? If I do well, don't get your hopes too high. Anyways, thanks for watching and I will see you.